All right, what's happening, everybody? You are now watching the Juke Boy Sports Show. I'm your host, King Ralph, here with my co-host, Kai. What's happening, G? How you feeling, bro?
Man, I'm doing great, great. Blessed to be here. Another episode. But also, I would like to say I'm thankful to have a homie like Ralph because we just had Thanksgiving and everything, bro. So I just want
Hey,
to let you
hey,
know, give you your flowers while you're still here. Saying hope you're gonna be here for many more
right,
years. But so
right,
yeah,
right, right, right.
we had a good Thanksgiving holiday. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving holiday.
I
Hit
did,
you up,
man.
see how
My
everything was.
Raiders won.
Yeah. So
We beat them Cowboys. I just want to check y'all still them boys.
the who? No.
But yeah, man, we won, man.
Yeah. So I enjoyed the weekend.
Yeah, I was kind of nervous toward the end because I was just like, bro, if we lose this game, this is one of them games.
Mm.
This will let me know that we are still them Raiders. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah. No, you guys showed real resiliency that game,
yeah,
man. Like I saw it, but was it me or did that game feel really long?
yeah, it did.
It did. Did
Yeah.
you watch the other two games? I didn't.
So I watched the end of the Bears and Lions game,
Okay.
and I did want to bring this up.
Mm,
I think as a unit, as
mm.
fans, we need to demand that they re
Flex certain games.
reconsider
Okay.
going back to the table and discussing what teams should play on Thanksgiving every year.
Facts.
Cause like I don't know that many Lions fans. So why do the Lions get to play every year? Like I get the Cowboys. Everybody loves the Cowboys.
Right.
So it's like I get why, regardless of their record, how good they are, they're gonna bring viewers.
Yeah.
So
The
like I don't get why we get the Lions every year
mhm.
where how many people do you know that actually get wake up and go watch football that are not Bears and Lions? I mean Lions fans or a fan of the team
I
that the
actually
Lions are
know
playing.
only one because she's from Detroit.
Right.
My homie CB. Shout out to her. But
Like
yeah,
most of the people
that's
I
only
know,
one. Yeah.
most of the people I know are gonna get up and go and watch. They're either gonna go play football,
Hmm.
go place their bets, or
Hmm.
finish cooking.
Facts. Or sleep in because they
Right.
don't want to watch the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's like why do we still have the Lions?
Yeah, Lions fans are like Clippers fans before they got Kawhi. They never
Right.
existed.
Exactly.
It never
Fam,
existed in any form
fam.
or fashion.
Everybody I know that is a
Yeah.
Lions fan has some connection to Michigan,
Right.
the state of Michigan.
Facts. Legit. Like they was born in the snow of Michigan, bro.
Right.
They was bumping
They got a
D12 and
they got an
Eminem.
uncle or
Right.
somebody that was like a
Right.
fan or like
Yep.
even Pistons fans. Like it's like you don't know any Lions or Pistons fans that have no connection to Michigan.
To Michigan, you're right. Right. Especially the Pistons fans, they go hard. They was there
Fam.
for the Palace of Auburn Hills.
Yeah.
Or if they're older, they were there for Isaiah Thomas
Yeah.
on a sprained ankle. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All
But
right.
before we get the show jumping, shout out to the sponsor. You see the Juke Boys logo behind us. So let's send a shout out to Fitboxer, man. If you want to do any podcast like you're watching, if you need help mixing, editing, photo shoots, music videos, some rather large warehouse. If you have not heard me do this intro before, call the number on the bottom of the screen, 707 Fitboxer. And we're gonna jump straight into it, man.
All right.
We got a new segment for y'all. We will start with that. Um, I was sitting here and I'm watching some other things, some other podcasts, and I'm like going back watching some of our podcasts, and I think that we just kind of, I was like, I wanted to spice it up.
Spice is
So-
the variety of what is it? Spice is the variety of life. There we
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I got this segment I want to do called Big Deal or It's Whatever.
Mhm.
So I got a couple topics we are going to shoot off and we're going to talk about are these big deals or is it whatever. So two proud black men here. Our some of our compadres, our
Yeah.
brothers in at the quarterback position were struggling
Yep.
this weekend.
Yeah.
A lot of interceptions was thrown. So Cam, Lamar, and Hurts all struggle.
Mhm.
Are these big deals or is it whatever?
Okay. So let's start off with the meat Lamar Jackson because they're the team that won, and I'm a Ravens fan here, so I know the team. And I'm not going to be biased. It's not a big deal. The reason why it's not a big deal is because Lamar Jackson, let's be real, he normally doesn't have games that horrific. I think that was probably his worst game that he's played since he was a starter in the NFL.
Yeah.
And the Ravens, as currently constructed, despite having up to 20 players on injured reserve, are the number 1 seed in the AFC. So you could see that he was visibly pissed out after the game,
Yeah.
and he owned up to it. He thanked his defense. He gave credit to his defense. The defense pulled it out. It was also a division game. Division games are ugly. So I'm not thinking it's a really big deal. Also, he came off, I believe it was 17 or 11 days where he had not played. He did deal with an illness, and so he didn't play versus Chicago Bears. So now you can look for him to bounce back next week. I will say this, though. The Steelers have been the one team in the NFL that has given Lamar Jackson the most problems. They're also a division opponent. It's a rivalry game. He has to go into Heinz Field, and he has yet to really perform well there. But I think seeing the Ravens, who have been an inconsistent team, though, right? The defense showed up. Lamar had a bad game. Next week, I expect Lamar to bounce back from that. And so just like he was able to beat the Chiefs earlier this year, I think this will be the year that he can go into Heinz Field and get a win against the Steelers. So for me, I'm not going to say it was a big deal for Lamar Jackson. Now for Cam Newton, I thought people were over the top in terms of some of the memeing and different things of that nature. That was the only issue that I had with Cam Newton, or the reaction to the game, right? But did he play horrible? Yeah, he played horrible. I mean, I don't know if you have the stats, but he only completed 5 passes, I think? Yeah, like 5 for 21. Yeah, 5 for 21. Yeah. 3
interceptions.
Okay. But he started off with the score. So he started off with the score. He had a good game last week.
It was downhill after that.
Right, it was downhill after that. I think people need to temper expectations in terms of the Carolina Panthers aren't a team that's expected to do anything in the playoffs, let alone win a Super Bowl, right? But I think for Cam, we have to look at it. You could say it's kind of a big deal because this is a guy who's, been injured, dealt with accuracy due to injuries. He wasn't injured in that game, and he's on the short leash. And I think Cam understands he's on the short leash. So when playing for a coaching staff that's like, yo, they didn't necessarily want him initially,
right,
you could kind of say it's a big deal. So if someone says it's a big deal, okay, cool. And then the last one was Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts, he's, for me, Yeah. I mean, I'll say big deal only because of this. The division.
Right.
Because could you see 2 teams coming out of the NFC East? Possibly. No? Okay. No. So he's like, shut that down. He's like, no, God, no.
Whoever wins that division is getting in the playoffs. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
So even if without that, it's still a big deal.
Yeah.
You know why? Because
I think it's a big deal because it's only because
of
who he was playing.
Exactly, because of who he's played.
It was a division game.
And the fact that the Cowboys lost 2 in a row.
Right.
So that NFC East is up for grabs. So
you could have easily been up, what's that, 5 and 6?
Okay. Yeah.
Or 6 and 6. You could have easily been 6 and 6.
500.
At 500. But now you're looking at 5 and 7.
Yeah. So I'm going 1 for 2 in terms of 2 for 1. 2 big deals, 1 not big deal. But the Cam one is kind of
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious to your take on that.
Bro. So for me, man, I'd agree with you 100% when it comes to Lamar.
I'm not being biased. I'm just being
not a big deal.
Yeah.
Because he has played very well. And I mean, everybody's down to have 1 bad game.
All right.
It's a long season. So the thing with these NFL games, each game counts, but you got to think about now we have an extra game. It's any given Sunday. Like it's some wild stuff happening. We got the Texans beating the Titans. Like,
don't even get me started.
So anything can happen with that. So it's like when it comes to that, like I don't think that it's a big deal when it as far as him and the interceptions. This is the most interceptions he's thrown. He doesn't have issues protecting the football when it comes to interceptions. He has issues fumbling, but not throwing interceptions. So with that, it's whatever to me. The Jalen Hurts one, it's a big deal only because of who he was playing when it happened.
Yeah.
It's a division rival. You have a chance for you to go up, and submit yourself as the second place in the NFC East, and even make it to where there's a conversation that could be had of whether or not there's 2 teams that get in, because the bottom part of the NFC, when it comes to the wild card, they're all within. They all pretty much have the same record.
Yeah, they're all in that same race.
Exactly. And so even when it comes to AFC, it's the same. It's the same conversation when you get toward those wild card teams. So that's why I think it's a big deal. But is it a big deal as far as like the one thing I dislike? I don't like it on both sides. I don't like how people are trying to compare him to Lamar. He's a different.
Yeah.
It's a difference. But at the same token, I don't think that like in the the group chat that we got, a lot of people. There's one person that really likes Hurts. There's some people that dislike Hurts.
Oh, we know who likes Hurts.
Right, right. And so I do think that I
Yeah.
do think that Hurts can be a franchise quarterback.
Mhm.
Like I've seen enough growth from him. Now, is he that stand in the pocket? Can he do the stand in the pocket and win you a game like Lamar? I don't know.
All right. Still
Yeah,
to be seen.
it's still to
Right.
be seen.
Right.
But like I knew going into the NFL that Lamar could do that.
Right.
I didn't know if that was my one thing with Hurts when he was in college, when he was playing at Alabama, was that he's gonna beat you with his athleticism, his ability to play making and get down the field.
Hmm.
So I don't know about that one. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know with him. It's not that big a deal to me. It's whatever kind of, but
Yeah.
it's a big deal because of who he was playing.
That's fair.
With Cam Newton,
Mm.
it's whatever to me because and
Mm.
honestly, and this is the reason why. This isn't the same offense he was playing in when he left.
Right. That's excuse me. That's what I meant to say.
So
What you
for
mean?
you to
Mm.
throw
Yeah.
me in, I
Right.
get it at a certain point when I don't have I didn't actually physically see all of the interceptions he was throwing.
Mm.
So I don't know what was happening there.
Mm.
Um, but I do know this is his second week in the offense
Mm.
as the starter because I think he started last week. He started this one,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then he got pulled. So it's like the second week as a starter. The other one, he just was kind of thrown in certain packages, and he played very well in those instances. But like, I don't get it to where people are just jumping on him talking about, oh, he sucks. See, this is why the Patriots like, bro, he doesn't know the offense right
Yeah.
like that. So I say pull. I say chill out on that. We got another joint here. I got to do. Big deal.
Big deal or whatever.
So Lincoln Riley accepts the job at USC. Big deal, or it's whatever.
Okay. So what's bigger than big? Colossal.
Right.
Like like what did Lil Wayne say? He's like, I feel colossal, or whatever
Right,
that
right,
track
right.
was, right? It's a colossal deal. It's a huge deal. It's if I was what's old boy Lee Corso, if I had the little mascot head,
Right.
I'd be putting on that USC Trojan. Not so fast. It's
Right,
a big
right,
deal
right.
right now. Look, this is a power move for the ugly spoiled children of USC. That's the acronym I call them. I'm not a fan of USC, but I'm here to give my objective opinion on this. Lincoln Riley, man, look, I got my notes here. 55-10 in 5 seasons at Oklahoma. Produced 2 Heisman winners, Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray at the quarterback position. 4 Big 12 championships in the 5 seasons he was there as a coach, and 3 college football playoff appearances in 5 seasons. This is a huge deal because we got to look at what the ugly spoiled children, the USC Trojans, people, we're gonna get hate mail, but when you look at what they were and what they're trying to become,
Right.
because if you remember, they had the sanctions, okay, where they had the postseason ban back in the early 2010s,
Right.
okay, and so since then they really haven't done anything since Pete Carroll left the organization, and I feel like when you look at Lincoln Riley, you look at his cachet, you look at the fact that he already has 3 recruits that were committed, and he's going to USC, a chance to turn that program around, right? Now he can say that if he turns that program around, that's something that he can add to his resume. And that's huge. Whereas if he was going to if he went to join the SEC, you have to compete against Alabama recruiting, Texas and Texas A&M, LSU, all these different teams, Florida. So he chose a job where I'm not saying it's easy. Oh, it's not going to be easy per se.
Right.
But you don't have to worry about the recruiting aspect of it. Then I look at it from the other 2 sides. When you look at Oklahoma, well, how does Oklahoma feel? Well, Oklahoma probably feels a little betrayed, right?
Right.
Because them moving to the SEC was with Lincoln Riley being the head coach in mind, right? So they're like, okay, we have to.
I forgot about that.
Right. They have to literally, okay, compete against Nick Saban and against Georgia now. You know, Georgia's playing phenomenal. So we look at that and it's like, okay, the Oklahoma feels betrayed. And like, wait a second, you were talking to the ugly spoiled children the entire time, you know, while we're trying to push for, you know, playoff and different things of that nature. So how are we supposed to actually feel about this? So now he's going to USC and he's going to live in better weather, right? Better quality of life. You know, the money's going to be right. Okay. And you don't have to worry about recruiting against Alabama and teams of that ilk. So I think it's a huge deal. And a lot of people are going to be expecting big things for him. Now, the thing is, with great power comes great responsibility. And he's going to have a lot of autonomy and power over that organization. So I think a lot of people are thinking, oh, it's a shoe-in. Everything's going to go seamlessly. But he has to live up to those expectations. And I also always thought that Oklahoma never should have moved to the SEC, by the way.
No.
They should have stayed in the Big 12. Yeah. And so now without Lincoln Riley, they're in big trouble. But I think for USC, this is like, if you're a Bulls fan, respectfully, I know you're a Bulls fan. If Michael Jordan stayed, or it's not stayed, but came out of retirement and was like, hey, you know what I'm saying? This is just something spectacular. So I like the move for Lincoln Riley, and I like the move for USC. I hate it for Oklahoma, though.
Right, yeah, because now they pretty much got the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
They made this big move, and then coach got up out of there. I think the thing that it's a big deal because he does have a proven track record. This is the first year. I do think it's kind of funny. Going into the season, it was like there was talks about it, and he was like, "Nah, I'm straight. I'm not going nowhere." Then like you have a year where your quarterbacks are struggling. Now you just want to jump ship.
Yeah,
and so
he ain't built for the grind. No.
And so like he does have a track record. He had a Baker Mayfield. He got a Kyler Murray. 2 Heisman winners, and then he got even what was my boy that we were just talking about, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, for that year.
That year that he had him, you saw. Now you can either say that it was the progression that he was already going to make, but when you have the first 2 go number 1, then you have another one that before he got there probably wouldn't have got drafted.
Yeah,
at quarterback. So then he has that 1 year with you, and then after that he makes a jump where what did Hurts go? Second round?
I think it was the second round actually.
So you get like you get 2 number 1 picks, and then you get someone who had no draft consideration. I don't think he would have got drafted at quarterback. And so now he's going to go second round. So
he was second round, 53rd pick.
Right. So it's like then you go second round, and now you have 3 quarterbacks in 3 years that are starters now.
Drafted within the first 2 rounds.
Right. And starters now.
Exactly.
And so I'm kind of curious to see what happens. I do think it's a big deal because I'm curious to see what happens with that.
Yeah.
Next one. Klay Thompson.
Killer Klay.
Why I actually just seen earlier today, even more a bigger update on that, is that he's 100% good to go now.
Yeah.
And he hit his first 18 threes.
Yeah.
After being approved to participate. The one thing that kind of irritates me sometimes when they do these, so to finish this statement, Klay Thompson and James Wiseman assigned to the G League affiliate team. Was it the Santa Cruz Warriors?
Yes.
Big deal or no, or it's whatever.
Assigned to the G League team?
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying like this, what this means.
Yeah, what it means. Overall, it's a big deal. And the reason why I say it's a big deal, respectfully, is because respectfully, yeah. That's my thing, respectfully. I'm sorry, Justin LeBoy, but I was doing respectfully before you doing respectfully. I just wasn't on the household scale. But anyway, yeah, it's a big deal because I'm trying to use the word. You're sending a message to the league that they're coming.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Close.
They're coming. And people knew the murmurs, and the expectation was there now. But now the expectation is real that he is going to be at some point in the line, probably even before Christmas or whatever, that he's going to be on the court in terms of the NBA, right? So now he's getting a chance to ramp up his conditioning, just like the Clippers did with the Serge Ibaka. I know, and he was injured last season. And then you have James Wiseman, a young draftee. So this going to the Warriors, excuse me, I'm trying to gather my words. it's a huge deal because you also got to look at what does Klay Thompson bring to that table. Klay Thompson and Steph Curry probably have the best unison and the best synergy and the best chemistry out of any two star players in the NBA. And you can make the case that Steph Curry this season is the best player in the NBA due to the fact that now he's elevated his level on the defensive side of the ball. But back to Klay Thompson, this is huge because now you would be getting back a Game 6 Klay, a high-quality postseason performer in the playoffs when it matters most. You're adding more floor spacing to the team that already has good three-point shooters, right? And, somebody who can be effective without taking a lot of dribbles. I think we talked about on a previous episode of our show, it might have been last week, I said there's a difference between just shooting efficiency and player efficiency. And player efficiency when you're scoring points without having to take a lot of dribbles.
Right.
And Klay Thompson can do that. He scored 60 points on, what did we say, 9 dribbles, I believe, or 8 dribbles?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then with James Wiseman, it gives you a big somebody down low in the post that can rebound, that can create his own shot. Defensively, he can play defense. And I told people that he has some weaknesses on the defensive side of the ball because he's still raw at certain areas, but that doesn't mean that he can't block shots. That's all I was trying to say. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's a big deal. The Warriors are clicking on all cylinders, Ralph. They have a big game, I believe, tonight, where they play the Phoenix Suns, who won, 16 in a row, I believe. It's 16 in a row now, second in the West. Yeah, so I mean, this is a big deal, and I think we're both just being fans of the game. We're excited to see him come back. So,
yeah, I think that it's a big deal. It's more so a big deal. Wiseman is not that big of a deal because he hasn't even been cleared to even practice yet.
He's still a luxury to me,
right?
For now,
I do think he's a luxury.
He's gonna get his burn though, but
I do think that he's a luxury depending on who they play.
Exactly.
Because I do think.
They get like an Ayton.
You get an Ayton or a Jokic. I don't care what Draymond Green can do. He's not doing anything with either one of those.
He's gonna have to, kick people in where it hurts. That's
he's
gonna get back to his old ways.
If you get to the finals, you gotta hope that the other side doesn't have
like a Giannis or
Giannis.
I mean, the 76ers, we don't expect to make it, but
right.
But
if
something happened,
and
Embiid.
Yeah, or like because I don't know. I still don't think.
You want to say the Bulls, don't you? It's okay.
No.
It's cool.
No, I don't, because I'm thinking like the Heat.
Yeah,
I'm even thinking like a Vucevic.
Yeah, because Atlanta has
a Bam.
Capella. He's a defensive guy.
That's not really.
Yeah, you just have to
but
stop.
I don't see Atlanta going that far, honestly.
So Giannis pretty much.
So it's Giannis, Bam, and Vooch. Those are the three,
right?
That I would say you got to worry about the most. But then it's
the bigs are on the West Coast. So let's say you play. Let's say you play the Lakers in the first round, who we expect they would beat them, but
right.
Anthony Davis go off.
But what your weakness is their strength,
right?
So
and they play great team defense, but anyway,
right. So I think it's a big deal. I think it's a big deal more because of Klay and the firepower, the defense. He was always that person that would guard the best wing, offensive player.
And they're probably not going to ask him to do that, but he will defend at certain times because they have Wiggins and Porter Jr. now.
Right.
So
I think it's a big deal. I'm kind of curious to see what happens with this because they're balling out. The one thing that I think people are missing in this is the Suns are right there.
Yeah.
Like if I think they won 17 in a row.
Yeah, it was like 16 or 17. They're literally one game. Well, it's like a half game technically behind them.
Right.
Behind them.
So it's like this is one team is getting more shine than the other.
Exactly.
But they're right there neck and neck.
Right.
Playing very, very good basketball. So I'm kind of curious to see what happens.
I had one quick question for you
for sure
before we move on. Do you believe that Klay Thompson is going to have a game? It doesn't have to be in his first 3 games, but like at some point in the season where he just goes off. Like, because he missed the top 75, list.
Yeah.
He was snubbed.
Oh, he will.
And I saw people were just saying things, but hey, anything is possible. Nothing surprised me. Some people think he's going to have a 75-point like game.
Right.
You think he could have like a 50?
I can see it happening.
Okay.
I can see it happening.
Nothing surprises me in the NBA anymore.
Nah, not like anymore.
Yeah. All right.
And then this last big deal.
All right.
Or it's whatever.
Street clothes.
So I see.
I'm sorry, Rob.
Dog, that is the coldest nickname.
Street
Dog, Charles
clothes.
Barkley.
Yeah. Street clothes.
Charles Barkley be having me crying loud when
Oh,
we talk
man.
about street clothes.
Street clothes.
But Anthony Street Clothes Davis,
Yeah.
um, having some serious shooting woes. So as of according to this meme I seen or graphic I seen, 16.7% from three,
Damn.
38.3% from mid range,
Mm.
and he's 33.1 on jump shots, which puts him at worse in the NBA by any player over 150 attempts.
Yeah.
Is this a big deal?
It's a huge deal, Ralph. As a former Laker fan,
Dang.
I just love to say that right now. But anyway, and I'll continue to say it. But as a former Laker
the Laker
fan, oh, this is Kobe, man. My allegiance is the late great Kobe Bean Bryant. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace to the late great Kobe Bean Bryant. Yeah, it's a huge deal. Why? Because with Anthony Davis, the expectation, right, with Anthony Davis was you are a top 10 player. Okay. Many even said top 5, top 3, which is not no top 3 player, whatever, but you have the talent of. And there's times when you look like a top 5 player, but you don't play up to that billing.
Right.
And with LeBron James, you were supposed to be you're expected to take over for the franchise and have the keys to the franchise when LeBron leaves.
Yeah.
But before he leaves, right, there's going to be games when he's not on the court and he needs to just play through you like he did in the bubble. And so Anthony Davis isn't living up to that billing based off the stats that you showcase, 16.7% on 3-point shots and different things of that nature. So with LeBron in and out of the lineup constantly this season, other guys injured, you're not running offense through the Tasmanian Devil, Russell Westbrook. You're not running offense through Austin Reeves, Malik Monk, Avery Bradley, and Carmelo Anthony's probably the best player that's been consistent on that team, right?
Yeah.
So you need to run it through Anthony Davis.
He's supposed to be washed.
Exactly. You're right. He's supposed to be washed, Max Kellerman. But anyway, so Anthony Davis not performing at that level on the offensive end makes it all that much harder for the Lakers, who are already having issues. And it's just really sad because me and you, we've talked about it on air, we talked about it off air. The key with Anthony Davis here is we believe that he's no longer hungry. And people go, but it's early in the season. No, like he wanted to get out of New Orleans, join the Lakers. He was never a leader. He was a follower. Rondo and Drew Holiday were the leaders on that team, right?
Right.
And it's not knocking his skill set. It's just that he was always a follower. He wanted to follow LeBron. You know, he got that ring similar to KG getting his ring in Boston, but Anthony Davis lacks that championship drive and that mentality that KG always had. Right. He just needed some additional help. So for the Lakers, with where they're at in this season, right? Anthony Davis's play, we blame Westbrook for a lot of things. Anthony Davis's play and his lack of hunger and drive has contributed to where they are in the standings when they had the easiest schedule, first half schedule, where they had a lot of home games. They played a lot of teams from last year that were below 500, and you need someone like Anthony Davis who should be having 35 and 15 every single night. So for me, it's a big deal. Yeah.
For every reason that you said, man, I think it is a big deal. The one thing that he has the talent, so it could be a whatever. He has all of the talent in the world, so it could be it's whatever. But to me, all of my friends that are Lakers fans was, except for like the two people I know. I mean, you were a Laker fan at the point where we started having this conversation.
Yeah, 4 scores years ago.
And then my other homie that's a Laker fan just doesn't like the way that LeBron constructs teams.
Right.
And so there's a lot of talks about them winning a championship this year and the possibility of and likelihood that they would. And it just doesn't look good. Even Shannon Sharpe is on Undisputed talking about
he's copping, please.
Talking about they just don't defend.
Right.
And so it's like, I don't know what it is, what's going on here. Is there something behind the scenes that we just don't know about? But you never know what was going on in people's life. But it just doesn't look good. They're not defending at a high rate. Anthony Davis is not looking like the best player on the team or even the second best player on the team. He disappears in games. Like you need a Malik Monk, you need a Kendrick Nunn, you need a THT like to even compete. And it's like when you have an Anthony Davis, a LeBron, and a Russell Westbrook, like that should be good enough on majority of nights. And it's not even like they're not putting their stamp on the team. LeBron is having moments where he does.
Yeah, LeBron's playing pretty well this year. Yeah,
And
yeah.
Russ has his moments when LeBron's not there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like Anthony Davis, I don't know, up until this point of the season, I haven't seen a game where I'm like, that's the Anthony Davis I know. And so that's the part that makes me kind of like, it's a big deal. But with his talent level, everything that he has to offer, I think he needs to get back in the post, build that confidence, and then eventually that confidence will shoot to other points of the game.
Yeah, I agree, man. And Anthony Davis, like, we call him street clothes, but he plays like he hates his body.
Right.
He doesn't like to bang. You know what I'm saying? He wants to be on the perimeter. He screams like he got hit by the DC sniper every time he got fouled, bro. Like, you know, he's doing his Tina Turner impression. It's crazy, man. But watch out how we speak on AD because he might end up in Chicago next year. So we got to watch out, man. You know what I'm saying?
With who's there?
Yeah. That would be cold though if he played.
With
if he
who's
played,
there.
right.
Because then I don't need him to be one or two.
Maybe a change of scenery would be good for him because sometimes you can regain the drive when you're playing at home and the expectation is lowered. Now, because the Bulls would be, okay, we want to win a championship, but we're not the Lakers where we're always in the spotlight. So I know that's foreshadowing, but hey, you know, AD to Chicago. Let's start it off now, man.
You never know.
Yeah, get Woj on the phone, man.
I don't believe it unless Woj said it.
Right, let's Woj said it.
But yeah, man, my team, Ohio State, got smacked, bro. We got dominated by Michigan after I was doing all that talking. So there goes their season. But then we got the likes of an Alabama going up. We got it's championship weekend, man.
Yeah.
We got Michigan up against Iowa. We got Alabama versus Georgia. Cincinnati plays Houston. Who will be in the college? Who will be the 4 teams representing the college playoff?
All right, Georgia.
10 minutes.
All right, I got Georgia versus Cincinnati. That's going to happen. Michigan versus Oklahoma. Those are the 4 teams. Georgia. Every time I say Georgia, bro, I just wish we had the track in the background. Ludicrous. Georgia. Anyway, so I got Georgia, Cincinnati, Michigan, Oklahoma. I think Georgia's going to be in the conference title game. Georgia over Bama, Oklahoma State over Baylor, Michigan over Iowa, and Cincinnati Bearcats over Houston. I think that defense.
So you got Oklahoma or actually Oklahoma State?
See. Oklahoma State. Excuse me, Oklahoma State. Yeah, why did I say Oklahoma, man? I'm sorry.
All right, cool.
Probably because we were talking about Lincoln Riley earlier,
right?
So I got that mixed. But I think the Bearcats defense is going to prove to be useful for once. First Houston. I think Georgia is just too good, and Bama. We talked about Bama. I feel like we talk about Bama a lot when we talk about college football.
Yeah.
Alabama is inconsistent to me. You know what I'm saying? Like they're a team that notoriety, name brand alone, that is not going to win you a bid to the college football championships. True. I mean, college football playoffs.
True.
You're in the championship game. Okay, cool. But I think now what you were talking about, Ralph, all season long, I think they're finally going to get exposed. They're going to get exposed on that scale. So me personally, it's relatively, I know it's kind of quick for me, but those are the 4 teams I had. I have Georgia at number 1, Cincinnati at number 4, Michigan number 2, Oklahoma State number 3. So those would be the 4 from my college football playoff.
Who was your number 4?
My number 4 was Cincinnati.
Okay.
Yeah, Cincinnati.
You don't get them at 4, bro? They undefeated.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know. It just depends. I think it does depend. For me, I pretty much got the same teams. I could see possibly a Notre Dame squeaking in there.
Okay.
Because they don't have a playoff. So if let's just say Oklahoma State loses, to Baylor, Baylor's not gonna jump Notre Dame. I just don't see it happen. Not with 2 losses.
Right.
Cincinnati, I can see Cincinnati going as high as 2. But honestly, I think it's going to end up being your 4 teams. Same 4 teams. I don't see Bama beating Georgia.
No, Georgia might smack.
I think Georgia is the most complete football team in all of college football. I do think that Michigan. I think Michigan, after the way that they worked out Ohio State and the way that Ohio State beat Iowa, I think Michigan can come out on top. Oklahoma State, they've been playing really good football all year. So I can definitely see those 4 teams, man. I agree with you on that. The one thing, though, I can see Cincinnati going as high as 2.
Okay.
Um, but I doubt it. I doubt it with a blue blood like a Michigan. If they have a good showing against Iowa, I just don't see how they end up slipping.
Every time I see Iowa, I think of the Steelers just because of the jersey.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, so who stole what? You know? Yeah, who stole what? Whenever
The
I see
one thing
Iowa,
I
I'm
would
like,
ask,
yeah.
do you think just getting to the playoff saves
Bama?
uh
Oh, not Bama.
Harbaugh's job?
Whew.
Finally has a good strong year. Michigan's one of those teams that always has high hopes,
Yeah, but they're inconsistent,
but they're inconsistent.
except for this year.
Right. And then he finally starts winning against ranked Big Ten opponents. He finally gets that monkey off his back.
That's a great question. That's a great question.
They go 11-1. They're in the college playoff. Do you think, let's just say, they go up against Georgia
Yeah.
and lose?
Well, here's the thing. Oh, go ahead.
Because I do personally think that losses against a Cincinnati
All right.
Luke Fickell, Ohio State guy,
Mm.
as the coach.
Yeah.
He beats Michigan. They lose to Cincinnati. Now that's a different conversation. But I do think that it's interesting with him actually getting to the playoff with the lack of success that he's had up until this point. I do think it's an interesting conversation.
No, I think that's an interesting conversation and a great question because when I look at Michigan and I look at Harbaugh, I always think about one of the issues that he's had. Not only is not meeting up the expectation, but the quarterback position.
Yeah.
It's be able to field a quarterback like Oklahoma was able to field a quarterback, like even Nick Saban at some point in time fielded a quarterback, Mac Jones, right? And we saw what Mac Jones was able to do. And Alabama wasn't known for the quarterback; they were known for the defensive players along that different defensive line, like Barabor.
Right.
They were known for I think Devontae Smith was there, right? The wide receivers on the wide receiver core, Julio Jones, players of that ilk, and then finally Nick Saban is able to get a quarterback and to get that quarterback to elevate that roster. So when I look at not John Harbaugh, that's my head coach, but Jim Harbaugh, and you were a former pro quarterback, collegiate quarterback, right? And you saw what he had success at the NFL level. Then you go to Michigan, and you're never able to actually really get that quarterback that people were expecting you to be able to get.
Right.
I always feel like that kind of held that team back. So finally getting to the college football playoffs, I think it gives him some leeway if and only if, like you said, they lose to a team like Georgia.
If they get smacked,
because
I think he's fired.
Okay, if they get smacked. But would you say if he got smacked by Georgia?
Even if they got to the college playoff.
Because you would think his time ran out. Like,
it's like,
okay.
I do think
it's been
I do personally think that him winning against Ohio State and dominating the way that they dominated
helped
saved his job.
Yeah.
Okay. But I do think that in the society that we live in, people are just gonna be like, well, what have you done for me lately? Y'all just got smacked in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I feel and I feel like with college, I feel like it's even a shorter leash sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He got a long leash, bro.
Yeah, he got the longest leash. Yeah.
Yeah, he's done absolutely nothing up until the season.
Nothing. Yeah, literally nothing.
A whole lot of talk. Like he getting rappers to come shoot music videos and on the field.
I mean, beating teams like Maryland doesn't really do anything.
He actually got, before him, they weren't sponsored by Jordan. He got them to be sponsored by Jordan.
Yep. Everything off the football field.
Yeah, he's done everything off the football field, like to boost the
with no results.
Yeah, with no results. Like at least Juwan Howard came in producing right away.
Right. Well, he had old boy man, what was the safety cornerback that they had that wind up not Jabril Peppers.
Oh yeah.
But he hasn't really done anything in the NFL. But he had Jabril Peppers, couldn't do anything with that team, so
right. Hey, Jabril's chalked out a nice career.
He's a
legit starter.
I thought he was going to be like all pro, but I guess I was wrong.
So. Yeah, I don't know about all that.
Well, I mean, I never forget he came in the combine, looked like Floyd Mayweather, had the hoodie on. Yeah. So I'm gonna run this like 4.3, 4.2. He ran like a 4.4 or something. I don't know, man. I was so like, damn. But that's still fast.
That's fast.
Yeah.
He just plays in. I think they play him, and he plays in the wrong
because he could
defenses.
Yeah, scheme, like
Yeah, he
scheme.
plays in the wrong scheme on
Yeah.
like or the defenses that they put him in. Like with
Right.
because with the he needs to be like a Jamal Adams,
Mm.
a
Mm.
safety that can also be a linebacker.
Yeah,
But
that can that can do run support.
You can't just line him up at linebacker.
Right, and just be like, go hit the
And,
quarterback.
and yeah, like because he's not as big as Isaiah Simmons.
No, Isaiah Simmons is a freak of nature,
Right.
by the way.
So it's like, but
Yeah.
his skill set is Isaiah Simmons without
because
that
he's so
size.
versatile, right? Exactly.
And it's like, so all right, you could play him at safety, but then it's like at the same time, you can't have him being your
De facto
middle linebacker or weak side
Right.
linebacker. He's
Right.
just way too small for that. But
Yeah.
he can be a box safety who can also guard and go out in the coverage.
Sounds like he could be a great college player, but an average to
Exactly.
football, and that's nothing wrong,
Nothing
man.
wrong
I'm
with
just,
that.
you know,
Nothing
so
wrong
yeah,
with
that's what it sounded like. You were saying, like, yeah, he was
Yeah.
great in college. Yeah, it happens. All right.
Yeah. And so as much as I would like to talk about John Wall, we're gonna do the NFL power rankings.
Oh yeah, we
and
gotta get
see what
those
we
in.
got because we
All
got
right.
20 minutes left.
All right.
So let's start off with these power rankings, G. And you know,
Started from the bottom.
started
Now
from
we're
the
here.
bottom, now we're
Hold on, let me see if I can-
here.
okay.
Let's get these power rankings.
So who's going
G.
first? You,
I
me.
will let you go first. G.
Okay. What was that name of the Beanie Siegel and Jay-Z Rockefeller track? You, me, him, and her. I forgot what it was called. Anyway. All right. Number 10. I did not leave them off the list. Las Vegas. Stand up. The Las Vegas Raiders, man. Now, Ralph might have issue with this because I think I've had the Raiders at 10 all season.
Right. Yeah,
I really think he's like, God, have they ever cracked the top 7 or something like that, man? But I don't think they've been worthy enough, man. This might have been their first week they could have, but they didn't. And I might not even put them 10, but I had to put them 10 because they beat a team that on paper looks like a complete team, run game, pass game. I think CeeDee Lamb wound up getting injured, right? CeeDee Lamb's injured, so he wasn't there.
They did not have their top 2 receivers.
Right. They didn't have the top 2 receivers, but if you are a team with Super Bowl aspirations and you're a team that is on paper a better team coming in hotter than, you know, whatever, even though they did lose to the Chiefs, the Raiders as a team on a short week at home that you should have beat and you didn't. So the Raiders are at number 10. I don't actually have the Cowboys there. So that's going to cause some cause for concern. But my Raiders are number 10, and then I'll go with my 9. Number 9, the Cincinnati Bengals, getting those 2 wins. They have wins over division opponents in Baltimore already. They've beaten, I want to say the Steelers, excuse me. They handily beat the Steelers. I thought that should have been Big Ben's retirement game, right? So, and they're pretty much right behind the Ravens for that division. So I have the Cincinnati Bengals being able to bounce back from the Jets loss they had a few weeks ago, and they're 7-4. So, yeah, the Raiders number 10, and the Bengals are number 9. All right, Ralph.
My 9 is gonna be the same as yours.
Okay.
My 10.
That 10 is always tough.
Yeah, because I'm
a couple different teams, man.
You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it like Fabulous and
you know what? I'm gonna swap. Nope, I'm gonna do it. Okay, so my Raiders gonna be at 10, man.
Okay. Okay.
Coming off of a 3 what were they? They had a losing streak of 3.
Yeah. That was crazy.
3 losses in a row, looking really bad on that Sunday Night Football.
Looking like struggle, as some would say.
Exactly. But they look good, man. Coming off of a short week, I think they might have had a bye week going into the.
That's your team, so
I'm trying to remember who did they play in between the Chiefs and Cowboys, but I think they had a bye week.
It was one of those things where you wish they had a bye week because they kept losing. You're like, man, we need these L's, man.
these L's is piling up, G. But they come out, they look great. The one reason why I'll say that, although the Cowboys did not have Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, is in where that to take points away from the Cowboys for losing that game without having their top 2 receivers.
Right.
Is the fact that we didn't have Waller for the second half.
Right. At all.
And we lost Ruggs, and we have a plethora of injuries when it comes to our cornerback position. Yeah. So I don't want to hear nothing about no injuries or people not playing because we're we have a lot of people that are just not playing.
Yeah.
And it's at the end of the day when you look at the what was it, the third quarter going into the fourth quarter, we were up by 2 touchdowns.
Mhm.
So it's like, all right, well, one can assume that because Amari and CD are not playing, now that makes that 2 touchdown gap like, all right, that's why
Right.
that's happening. But then you come back and you tie up the game. It's like, all right, well, which team are you?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm gonna give the Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders, points for coming out on top. I'm gonna give them 10. Cincinnati Bengals at 9.
All right.
7-4 record.
Okay. Number 8, I have the Rams, the LA overrated Rams, man. I'm sorry, Ralph. I know
Think
that's
they
a Super Bowl
overrated?
team. I think they're overrated right now. Only reason because I think they were believing their own hype.
Yeah.
How about that one? So they might be believing their own hype. I think they can get it together though, but I'm already having I mean, hey, my initial Super Bowl teams I think were the Bucks and the Ravens, but that's a whole nother story. We already see how these teams are going. But the Rams are a team, and I talked to shout out to the homie Tar because I know he loves himself some Stafford, and I know he loves himself some Tony Romo. But I told him about Stafford. I said that he was better than Jared Goff. At least I thought he was. But now the questions are arising. I'm not going to say he's on Goff level, but he's struggling. I said the issue I had with Stafford, and we mentioned on the show like 2 weeks ago, was some of the throws he be throwing, bro.
Yeah,
He be throwing some bull jive.
He believes in his arm a little too
Right.
much.
And it's like, bro,
at
sometimes
times.
you need to take the sack.
Yes.
But I think they're believing their own hype. And now Odell is falling victim to what Baker was falling victim to, force feeding the ball to Odell Beckham Jr. because you know Odell's there. And so I think that's causing a problem. Von Miller, you have Von Miller there. You have Jalen Ramsey. You have Aaron Donald. You need to put these teams away. You need to get out to good starts. You need to finish games. And so let's be real, with all due respect, with great talent, you have high expectation. You know what I'm saying? The playoffs haven't started, but this is the part of the season, Ralph, where we start to see teams for who they are and these losses that they're taking. The losses that they've been taking, they're unacceptable. But they have the talent on the side of both sides of the ball. So we're gonna see if they can bounce back. But I have them right ahead of the Bengals and the Raiders only because of some of the wins that they do have on their schedule.
Right.
And so I have to factor that in, right?
Okay.
But they've slipped down in my rankings because I think before I had them probably at like 5 or something like that earlier.
Yeah.
So I dropped them down in my rankings. And then moving on, number 7, I had the Buccaneers at 8-3. I think that's solid for them in my personal opinion. I don't believe they're quite a top 5 team. They did get the win this week. But Tom Brady, which you've mentioned many times, he hasn't been playing really GOAT-like football.
Exactly.
He threw 1 touchdown, 1 pick, had like 200-something yards. That defense just looks bad. That pass defense, secondary, man, like they're not a team that I don't see the fear factor in that team. Also, we have to look at Antonio Brown, the absence of Antonio Brown. And you're seeing just how big a deal that is, right? And then Mike Evans is probably the only reliable option right now on that team, despite the fact that you have some other weapons there. So I'm looking at the Buccaneers at 8-3 as the number 17.
For me, man, I'm sitting here and I'm looking at how I always kind of go off of this. I kind of go back and I look at different power rankings. I look at ESPNs. I look at the NFL.com.
Skip Bayless.
And I kind of look at what they got, man. And so it's kind of, I'm looking at their power ranking. I'm just like, yeah, this joint right here is wild.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, G. So I'm gonna put, because right here on here they got the Titans at 8, and I don't agree with that at all. The way that they've been losing games, and all these injuries they got, ain't no way that they top 8.
Oh, real? Oh, this is gonna be interesting. Okay,
so
okay.
I agree with you 100%.
Okay.
I don't have the Titans in my top 10 at all.
Okay, so that's a team you don't have. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Rams, definitely throwing them Rams in there.
Rams. That's your 7?
At that's my 8.
Oh, right. 8.
Yeah, that's my 8. So I agree with everything that you said. He does kind of throw the ball a little bit. He forces passes.
Right.
The one thing for me that kind of frustrates me when people start talking about Odell
Mm.
and I don't think this is like anything that's his fault.
Yeah. He
Um,
can't throw the ball.
right.
Yeah.
Is but I'm not in the huddle to know if he's asking for the ball and
Mm.
saying I'm open. But like I think when you get someone that is such a big like threat, you want to force the ball to them, but I don't think that you should. Like if he's open, give it to him. But if he ain't, throw it to somebody else. Like you have Van Jefferson still, you still have Cooper Cup,
Yeah.
and then you're just
Oh, Cooper
instead
Cup
of
still plays on the team?
instead of Robert Woods, you have
Right.
you're just inserting Odell.
Right.
So just have them run their respective routes, and whoever's open, hit them.
But
But
see,
don't be looking
yeah.
like, oh, that's Odell. I'm gonna look at him first because it's Odell. Like, nah, he's just another receiver in the
Mm.
toolbox, and that's the part I think that irritates me the most.
Mm.
With when it comes to
The
Odell,
Rams.
because they start talking about they brought this up too in in Cleveland, because and even Jarvis Landry was like he's not going into the huddle saying throw me the ball.
Right.
So like that, and then when you look at their targets, Jarvis Landry versus Odell, they had the same amount of targets.
Yeah.
So it's like, why? Where is this narrative coming from that people have that Odell? People are forcing the ball to Odell. Now it
Mm.
might look like that on the field, and
Good
that,
point.
but like at the same time, I don't know if he's going in there and saying that. So that, but that's a
Right.
conversation for another day. And then at 7, I got the
Seven's always
Kansas City
interesting.
Chiefs.
Okay.
I got the Chiefs at 7-4. They're looking good right now. They finally getting that swag back, dancing on the sidelines and all of that.
Swag surfing.
I like to see it. Looking good. They beat the brakes off my Raiders.
Mm.
And yeah, so at 7, I got Kansas City Chiefs.
All right. So I do not have the Chiefs in my top 10. Shocker. Yeah, I don't. I'm sorry, Ralph. I don't. But the team that I do have at number 6, the most inconsistent team in the AFC with the most valuable player in the NFL, them Birds, Edgar Allan Poe. Ray Lewis was looking down on that defense like, don't choke. Don't mess this up. You saw him in the skybox. The Baltimore Ravens. See, now, if you notice, there's a trend, right? So you're going to start to notice a trend from 6 on up, okay? So in 6 on down, also 6, 7, 8, right? All 3 of those teams are, if we did tiers and a tier, the tier is inconsistency. The Ravens, Bucks, and Rams are inconsistent. So from there, I went with a team who has the best record and number one in the, has the number 1 seed and who has the best player out of those teams. So in that case, it was Lamar Jackson. The Baltimore Ravens, what they did, it was a division game. So division games are ugly. He played poorly, but they were still able to win in spite of his
I'm
score.
surprised you got them so low.
Yeah,
Especially
I
with them having the
with
best record in the AFC.
yep, but I have to be objective because I was like, if they're the number 1 seed, they you could be like they're a top 5 team, at least a top 5 team.
Right.
But then I was like, you know what? Just how I feel as a fan, I'm like they're inconsistent. I'm just dropping them out of my top 5, so I'm not putting them really low. You know what I'm saying? With
Yeah.
it, so I was like number 6. I think that's solid for them because
Okay.
I think the questions they have for the Ravens are warranted. I think they're a resilient team, but I believe that because I don't know if you watched the game, the offensive line did Lamar no favors.
No.
So the line still sucked. I know he's going up against Myles Garrett. And Lamar had to run for his life. And I believe he had 164 rushing yards on the ground. So it's like if my quarterback is able to get a win in spite of throwing 4 interceptions, but they're still not able to get the running game going because they don't have a J.K. Dobbins, a Gus Edwards, and that line is porous, okay, then I have to look at it from both sides of the football. Tyus Bowser and my boy Owe, Tarian Rogers loved that dude, Odafe Owe from Penn State, our homie. Shout out to Tar. But he's like, yo, Kai, always the guy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at them and they play really good. So next week, if we can get both sides of the ball, I think they could move into the top 5. And then finally, number 5, I have Buffalo Bills. I finally put the Bills back up there over the Ravens due to some of the quality of the wins right there. And I believe that they're going to eventually round to form. And I like the fact that they know what their identity is. So the next couple teams from 5 up have an identity. So that's it from me. All right.
All right. I think that with me, man. So what? I got six.
Yeah, 6-5.
So six. I got the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
Um, I think that they have found their identity, but I do think that as the building of a team, defense, throwing the ball, as well as running the ball, special teams, and all of that, their lack of a running game concerns me, and I bring this up every time I start talking about the Bills. They're
Yeah.
especially if you're gonna try to get to a point like everybody wants home field advantage.
Mm.
If you watch that Ohio State Michigan game, the reason why Michigan looks stronger
Mhm.
is their ability to run the football.
Right, right.
Haskins balled out. CJ Stroud is the strength of the offense on Ohio State, throwing the football. But when you got all that snow coming down, it's not a good look.
Right.
It's hard. It's gonna be hard to move the ball down the field when you're trying to force throwing the football in inclement weather. So that's why I'm always gonna put them low until they're able to show me that they can win throwing the football
Okay.
like that. So then same division. New York Jet, not playing.
I'm about to say, bro, I was like in the stream now. In the stream.
But the Patriots, looking real strong on all sides of the football.
Right.
Mac
Oh
Jones
wow, you had them at what? 5?
at
No.
5.
Okay, okay.
I agree. Actually, I agree with
Okay.
ESPN on this one.
Okay.
I got them at 5.
Mm.
Playing really good football on all sides of the football. Running the ball, throwing the ball, defense. You know, Belichick is going to make sure that team gets prepared,
Yeah.
and they're going to get better as the season goes.
Mm.
So I'm looking forward to see what happens with that.
Because they play the Bills coming up eventually. So yeah.
Wait, no. I'm actually going to swap that.
Okay.
No, I'm gonna rock with that.
Okay.
I'm gonna rock with the Patriots because they did play the Buccaneers. So I am going to go next, and Buccaneers will be at 4.
Okay.
I just think that at the end of the day, injuries is something that they had to deal with. That's their record. Although their record is high and the injuries are kind of piling up, they just had way too much experience, too much talent, to put them that low. So the Buccaneers at 8-3 are going to be at 4.
Okay.
And then I am going to put them Ravens at 3.
Woo.
With the best record in the division, all of those injuries, but they're still finding ways to win games.
Yeah.
With the Andrews is playing very well in big games.
That catch he made was amazing.
That catch was wild,
bro.
We
need to get some of those gloves, man.
Facts. The catch he made was amazing.
Oh. Pardon us, guys. It's the president. President wants to speak to us. He didn't like what you said about
right.
the Patriots being
right. And that's wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, to get back to it.
Yes, that was your 4 and 3. I think you
Yeah.
had 4. Yeah. And 3.
3 and 4. Clears at 4.
Okay, so my 4-3, I had Titans at number 4 because despite the fact that their offense has been anemic and we talked about it, they ran off with like 6 straight wins prior. Okay, so you have the Tennessee Titans, and that was without Derrick Henry. But you also had to look at when Julio Jones has been suffering injuries, and the fact that when you look at the teams that they've beaten, beating the Bills, beating the Chiefs, they have yet to play the Ravens. But if you go throughout the AFC teams, it's like they've beaten a lot of these teams that are going to be that they would see in the playoffs. They've already beaten. So I factor that in. These are teams that are going to need to be in the playoffs. So they've been able to do that. Teams in the AFC, and its defense is clicking. Special teams is clicking. Nick Folk, shout out to him. I have on my fantasy team, even though I'm not going to win the fantasy championship this year, but whatever.
Right.
Mac Jones is a candidate for Rookie of the Year. Probably will wind up winning Rookie of the Year. Bill Belichick has that team buying in, and so the Patriots seem like they're back. So I have the Patriots at my number 3, and then want to rattle off your last 2 teams, and for the sake of time,
I got the Cardinals at 2, man.
Okay.
I mean, I still got the Cardinals at 1.
Okay, yeah.
And then I got the Packers at 2.
All right.
Um,
Same as me.
yeah, and
So-
so I'm like, I don't think that like you can fault the Cardinals for the injuries. I mean, they're still playing well without their top two
And they had a
players.
bye week, so it's
Right.
kind of like we can't move them down
Exactly.
per se. So okay.
But thank you all for watching, man. It's been a good show. Now with this going, man, I'll be able to throw this straight on from the jump. I'll be able to post this right away. Make sure you follow us on IG J.U.K. Sports Show. Thank you all for watching. Bye.
Peace.